Decoding Learning Differences with Kimberlyn Lavelle, and this episode is English Language Rules. This episode is actually a bit of a book review and recommendation. The book is Uncovering the Logic of English. This is in no way sponsored by them. This is in no way a paid for anything. I didn't even let them know I'm doing this yet, although I probably should. So I'll try to reach out to them before it goes live. But this is actually just genuine. I have this book. I've read this book. I enjoy this book. I recommend this book regularly. It is Uncovering the Logic of English by Denise Eide, E-I-D-E. And it is a common sense approach to reading, spelling, and literacy. So when most of us were first learning how to read, we were in kindergarten, if we were in a whole language classroom, we got like no phonics instruction whatsoever. If we were in more of a balanced literacy classroom or a teacher who just knew that we needed to learn some phonics, we might have learned that A says ah. And later we might have been taught that A also says A, right? But we were not taught that A can also say ah. We were taught that I can say I and I, but we were not taught that it could say E and even Y. So it has these sounds. There's all this extra that we were not taught. We were taught that CH says ch, but we were not taught that it can also say k and sh. We know it can because we know in school it says k, but we were never taught that it could. We were just taught that this says school. Oh, it's one of those crazy English words. It doesn't make any sense, right? And we were taught these kinds of things like it doesn't make any sense. But then it really was just that the person teaching us was not taught the logic, did not understand all of it, and had probably been told themselves that it doesn't make any sense. We were told that. We've repeated that. And it's actually not true. English is actually logical. So the logic of English is actually a great name for this because it does explain those rules. The phonograms and spelling rules explain 98% of English words. So most English words are in some way decodable. You just have to know enough of the rules to decode them. And this book, I would recommend reading it not just as a reference to like find the page and the concept you want, but actually cover to cover to kind of figure out where are the gaps I'm missing, what is going on here. It's how I read it and it's how I would recommend it be read. And then you can keep it as a reference and refer back to it. I want to give you a little snippet from it. So one of the rules that are taught in Logic of English is Denise Eide. It is a curriculum, like a homeschool curriculum for teaching reading. It's a great curriculum, very balanced in terms of making sure it hits everything that is needed. It is based on science of reading. You could consider it Orton Gillingham based. It's a great program. So this book is, I think, like the parent-teacher accompaniment, but anybody can use this and benefit from this. It's not directly necessary for the curriculum. Within the curriculum, one of the rules that are taught, and you're going to learn all the rules through this book, if you get this book, is rule number 1, C always softens to S when followed by E, I, or Y. Otherwise, C says K. It is so clear, and it's one of those things that like when you realize it, some part of you might have already known it. You might have already automatically tried saying S anytime the C was followed by an E, I, or Y, but you didn't know it was a rule. You didn't know how consistent it was. Remember, these are for English words. Sometimes in English, we do steal words from other languages, and those have different rules. So if you are thinking of an example where this isn't true, don't be upset about it. It is not an English word that you are thinking of. So when C is followed by E, I, or Y, it says And it helps with spelling, it helps with reading, and it's such a clear, consistent rule. Now within the book, you'll see that it gives a bunch of examples. It talks about what else is happening. It just really goes through it in a way that is very easy to understand, very approachable. It gives a lot of great explanation, and I think every teacher, especially beginning, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, but even into fourth, fifth, sixth, high school, like really everybody should have this, but especially if you're actually at all involved in teaching a child how to read. This should be a must read. This should be part of the curriculum for becoming a teacher. Like, it's such a great book, such a great reference, and filled with great information. So again, the book is Uncovering the Logic of English by Denise Eide, E-I-D-E, and I'm realizing now I really should reach out to her and ask her to be on the podcast. So that might be coming up at some point. If you have any questions, any thoughts, any recommendations, any stories about your own use of that curriculum, Logic of English, or anything else, maybe a funny story about learning phonics for the first time as an adult, perhaps, whatever stories you have, I love to hear them. Email me, Kimberlyn@decodinglearningdifferences.com. I'm also here to support you, so if you need anything from me, please email me. Again, it is Kimberlyn@decodinglearningdifferences.com. I look forward to hearing from you.